Welcome back to the Unrevealed Realities, the place where hidden truths breathe, where buried emotions resurface, and where the quiet, unseen turning points of life are given the voice they were always denied. In our secret chapters, we step into those fragile corners of the human heart where trust is formed, broken, rebuilt, and sometimes reborn. Today, we unravel a story that belongs not just to one person, but to countless souls across the world who have felt the sting of betrayal and the slow, painful rise of redemption. This is the story of a friendship that was once inseparable, once pure, once stronger than blood, until life, pressure, and choices twisted it into something unrecognizable. A story titled, Betrayal and Redemption, When a Friend Became the Biggest Enemy. It began years ago, long before betrayal had a name, long before trust carried a price. Back then, the world felt simpler, the sky looked larger, and dreams felt close enough to touch if you stretched just a little further. I was young, ambitious, and foolish enough to believe that friendship was unbreakable if the intentions behind it were pure. And maybe that belief was my first mistake, or maybe it was my greatest strength, depending on how you choose to see what happened next. The first time I met him, it wasn't destiny or fate or some cinematic moment. It was an ordinary day, warm sunlight, buzzing crowds, honking traffic, and the heavy weight of college books pressing into my arms. One slip, one book tumbling to the ground, one stranger bending to pick it up, that was how Arham entered my life. A single moment that felt insignificant at the time but turned out to be the spark that lit a fire that would burn for years. He handed me the notebook with a half smile and said, "Man, you carry books like they owe you money." I laughed. He laughed. A joke so simple, yet it opened a door. We walked to class together that day, talking about everything from boring assignments to big dreams. There was something magnetic about his personality, confident but not arrogant, funny but not disrespectful, carefree but not careless. He had that rare ability to make you feel comfortable, like you had known him forever even if you had just met him minutes ago. From that day on, he became a constant presence in my life. We studied together, ate together, traveled together. People started calling us the twins, not because we looked alike, but because we acted like two parts of the same soul. He was the extrovert, the talker, the charming one. I was the thinker, the planner, the quiet strategist. We balanced each other like night and day. If he made people laugh, I made them feel safe. If he lit the fire, I kept it burning. Years passed, and the friendship only grew stronger. But life, as it always does, began to test us in ways we didn't see coming. After graduation, the real world greeted us with deadlines, responsibilities, and the kind of pressure that squeezes the softness out of youth. Jobs were scarce, rent was unforgiving, and the weight of expectations grew heavier each day. We spent countless nights lying on the rooftop of my apartment, looking at the sky as if the sky had all the answers. We dreamed of a future where we wouldn't struggle, where we wouldn't chase money, where we would build something of our own. On one such night, under a dimly flickering rooftop bulb and a sky dotted with faint stars, an idea was born. A business. A digital marketing agency, a place where creativity would meet strategy, where we would help brands come alive online. It felt crazy, risky, almost impossible, but dreams born under the night sky have their own kind of courage. I shared the idea hesitantly, afraid that he would laugh it off. But Arham listened with surprising seriousness, nodded slowly, and said the words that changed everything: "Let's do it. Let's be partners." That handshake, that night, that shared ambition, it became the foundation of a journey that would carry us through success, stress, pressure, and eventually, betrayal. The start was rougher than we expected. Our first office was barely an office, more like a storage room with two secondhand chairs, a dusty desk, a fan that rattled like it was dying, and walls that echoed when we laughed too loud. But to us, it was heaven. It was ours. It was a beginning. We spent days creating strategies and nights sending emails to clients who ignored us up front. Some days, we barely ate. Some nights, we slept on the office floor just to save time. But those struggles bonded us even more deeply. When our first client finally signed with us, a small clothing shop looking for a social media presence, we celebrated like we had just won a national award. When we got our second client, then third, then fifth, it felt like the world was finally noticing our potential. Slowly, we grew, one campaign at a time, one sleepless night at a time. But growth is a tricky thing. It brings success, but it also brings temptation. It brings confidence, but it also brings ego. It brings opportunity, but it also brings choices that reveal who someone truly is. As our workload increased, we divided responsibilities. I took charge of creative direction, client communication, and long-term strategies. Arham handled accounts, finances, payments, and documentation. At first, it was a perfect balance. But slowly, almost invisibly, something began to shift. It started with small things. A purchase receipt missing, a payment from a client delayed without explanation, an expense marked in the sheets that didn't match what we discussed. I ignored it. I trusted him. I trusted our bond. I trusted the years we had spent dreaming and building together. Then came the big break. A major company reached out to us. A contract larger than anything we had ever handled. The kind of opportunity that changes the trajectory of a business overnight. It was our moment, the reward for our struggles. The dream turning into reality. But dreams, when mixed with greed, can become curses. As the company expanded, so did the finances. Bigger clients, bigger campaigns, bigger inflows, and that was the exact moment the cracks began to appear. At first it was just a feeling, a suspicion with no evidence, a discomfort with no shape. But then the numbers stopped aligning. The bank statements did not match our earnings. The invoices recorded didn't reflect in our account. Something was wrong. One evening, as the sky dimmed and the city lights flickered awake, I walked into the office earlier than usual. Arham was inside, alone, speaking on the phone with someone. His back was turned to me. He didn't know I had entered. He spoke softly, but the silence of the office carried his voice clearly. Just transfer it to my personal account. He won't find out. I've been doing this for months. My heart froze. My breath caught. My mind refused to process the words. I took a step back without making a sound, my hands trembling, my chest tightening. I walked out quietly and sat in my car, staring blankly at the dashboard. The world outside moved, the traffic, the noise, the life, but inside me, everything went still. That night, I barely slept. My mind replayed his words again and again. I considered confronting him immediately, but something held me back, a mix of fear, confusion, and denial. I spent 2 days gathering the financial documents, comparing numbers, tracing transactions. The truth unveiled itself slowly, brutally, painfully. Thousands of dollars had been siphoned into his personal accounts. Months of betrayal, hidden behind friendship, trust shredded without hesitation. When I finally confronted him, I expected guilt, fear, shock, something human. But what I received instead was arrogance. "You don't understand," he said, as if I was the one at fault. "I'm the one bringing in most of the clients. I deserve more. And anyway, I knew you'd never agree to it. So I took what's rightfully mine." What's rightfully mine? The words stabbed deeper than any betrayal. It wasn't desperation. It wasn't a mistake. It was entitlement. It was greed. It was a belief that our friendship, our partnership, our sacrifices meant nothing to him. The argument escalated. Voices rose. Doors slammed. Accusations flew. By the end of that night, the partnership was broken. The business we built together was destroyed. And the friendship I had once believed in more than anything was dead. The aftermath was worse than the betrayal itself. Clients left us. Rumors spread. People whispered. Friends chose sides. I shut myself away, drowning in my thoughts. Guilt weighed on me. Guilt over trusting too much. Guilt over not noticing sooner. Guilt over losing something I had poured my soul into. Days blurred into weeks. Nights stretched endlessly. Food tasted like paper. Sleep felt like a stranger. I wanted revenge. I wanted to expose him. I wanted to burn his world the way he had burned mine. But life, in its strange wisdom, placed someone wise in my path, a mentor who had seen the rise and fall of people and businesses. He said, "Revenge is loud. Redemption is silent. One destroys others. The other rebuilds you. Choose the path that allows you to sleep at night." At first, I hated the advice. It felt weak, passive, forgiving. But slowly, it settled into my heart like a seed, growing roots. I realized something I had been too blind to see: revenge wouldn't fix my pain. It wouldn't rebuild my life. It wouldn't restore my lost peace. So I let go, not of justice, but of hatred. I walked away from what he had done, not because he deserved forgiveness but because I deserved freedom. And then I started again. From zero, with nothing but my skills, my determination, and my wounded heart. The journey back was slow. Clients hesitated to trust me. Friends didn't know what to say. But I kept going. One graphic, one email, one campaign, one step. And slowly, people saw my sincerity. They saw my work ethic. They saw my honesty. One client returned, then another. Soon, small projects turned into stable contracts. Stable contracts turned into long-term collaborations. My life, once shattered, began to assemble itself piece by piece. A year passed. Then fate intervened in the most unexpected way. I walked into a corporate office for a potential collaboration. As I stepped into the waiting lounge, I froze. Sitting on the far sofa, head lowered, shoulders slumped, was Arham. But he didn't look like the man who once betrayed me. He looked older, exhausted, worn out. His company had collapsed. His reputation was damaged. His finances were drained. Life had already delivered a justice I didn't have to pursue. He stood when he saw me, his eyes heavy with remorse. The confidence he once carried had dissolved into guilt. He walked toward me slowly and whispered, "I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say it. I'm sorry for everything." There was a long silence. Then I said the words that freed both of us, "I forgive you." Not because he deserved it, but because I wanted to close the chapter. Forgiveness didn't turn us into friends again. It didn't repair the past. It didn't erase the pain. But it released the burden I had carried in my chest for years. It allowed me to move forward without bitterness. It allowed him to face his own demons without my hatred fueling them. And maybe, just maybe, it allowed both of us to grow. Today, when I look back, I don't see betrayal as the end of something precious. I see it as the beginning of someone stronger. A version of me who understands loyalty more deeply, who protects his heart more carefully, who builds his life more wisely. This story is not about revenge. It's not about destruction. It's about rising from the ashes of trust broken. It's about learning that sometimes the people closest to you hurt you the most, not because you're weak, but because your loyalty gives them access to places where wounds cut the deepest. If you ever faced betrayal, remember, it wasn't your fault. Their choices define them. Your comeback defines you. Thank you for watching The Unrevealed Realities. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, share, and stay connected for more hidden truths from our secret chapters.